All right, everybody, welcome to my channel. Today, I have my best friend, Luke. We first met in undergrad, I think, in third year, and we became best friends ever since. Luke is also pursuing his MD degree, but in the Caribbean, and he agreed to hop on a video and answer lots of questions that I asked or that I got you guys to ask on my Insta story and Facebook stories. And so the next couple of minutes, he's going to answer as best as he can those questions with his ability. Luke, before we begin, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions just so the audience can get to know you really quick. All right. Are you ready?
All right. Yep. Let's do it.
Okay. Where did you grow up?
So I'm from a small place in Bowmanville, Ontario. I'm not sure who's all from there, but shout out if you are. Pretty cool place. They used to run the Boots and Hearts Music Festival. If you're into country music, pretty cool place. Very nice people. Everything's great. And then I ended up going to school up in Sudbury, the Great White North, with Thiago.
Awesome. Where do you live now?
Currently, I'm living in Grenada. I'm going to St. George's University. It's pretty great. I'm living right on the beach, one of the biggest public beaches in the Caribbean. And I got a nice shopping mall right there. Lots of food places. It works out good, so can't complain.
Cool. It's nice and warm over there. Over here, it's cold, although it is warming up.
I don't miss the Sudbury winters too much.
No, Ottawa's pretty similar to Sudbury.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. What's your favorite quote?
So I joke about it a lot. Socrates quote, and it's one thing only I know, and that is that I know nothing. And so I always make a joke when somebody be like, "Oh man, I don't know this," like whether we be in a small group or something. I'm like, "Oh, don't worry." Like one of the first physicians ever also didn't know. So it's like it's a good one, and it's an expression also, I guess, where you can always have something else to learn.
Yeah, and
so that's a good mindset to have.
I love that quote because it's the more you know, the more you know that you don't know. Like it's
exactly.
Totally relate. What's one of your superpowers?
Oh, that's funny. Okay, superpower is that I can go beast mode from scientist to beast all within a minute. You need to go. I'm drinking a protein shake, so I already went to the Hulk mode today.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know Luke yet, he's super big into working out. He's always at the gym. If you were a betting man, you could bet that Luke was in the gym. Because Luke, here's an extra question that I just thought of on the spot. What's the longest workout you've had?
I think it would be like a full day workout was like the longest one. Up the whole body. I did everything from my shoulder to my calves. Probably was in there for about 3 hours and a bit, 3.5 hours.
I feel like you've been there longer.
Well, no, that's not including like the shower, transit, the changing.
Okay.
All that, all that transit time doesn't.
True. What's one of your favorite books?
Pardon?
What's one of your favorite books?
So I don't really read too many books that aren't textbooks, but one book that I did end up buying, I think I was in my 4th year in undergrad, and I was working in the lab a little bit, and I kind of got bored sometimes. I was like, okay, well, I need something to clear my head doing this thesis work. Yeah. So I got 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson, and I really liked it. It was like kind of like life lessons, relating myself to lobsters. It was a good thing to read up on, you know what I mean? So yeah. It was like it was a really good book, and I think that that's really helpful for younger people trying to learn how to take on the world.
Yeah, it's like a bestseller book. I've heard or watched some of the videos that Jordan has about that lobster thing, and so I think like a lot of people talk about that. But definitely have heard amazing reviews about the book. I haven't read it myself, but if I had the time or made the time, I would. Second last question. What is one thing you are challenged by right now?
Currently, probably building a nice tight schedule for the rest of the term. I have USMLE board exam coming up at the end of June. So I have a couple months left. I think 70 days left on the island-ish. So kind of making sure I'm reviewing everything as best I can.
Yeah.
I mean, the last week I've done total cardio, total renal. So it's like I'm really trying to find what's really going to help me best. Not trying to memorize the nitty gritty things first, go big concepts and save the cramming for the last 6 weeks. Before.
Yeah. How many hours are you studying a day?
If I look at my iPad, it'll tell me because I use the Notability app for all my lectures and stuff.
Okay.
And it's probably it's at least six hours, like minimum, I think, per day. But the last 2 days I did take off a lot of time. I did a round trip around Grenada. So me and my roommate, we rented a car, went out, took a day off, and then we had our intercollegiate Olympics for SGU yesterday.
Right.
So we won the tug of war. We came third place overall for all 9 colleges.
Congrats.
So we killed it.
And I think that jumps into the last question. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, yeah. Today, so I got $50 gift card to one of the restaurants just off campus.
Yeah. And
they make some pretty good chicken. So I spent $50 worth of gift card on chicken today, and I already ate all $50 worth of chicken.
Dang.
So that's what I'm grateful for. There's a lot of things I'm grateful for today, but that's definitely one of the ones that puts a smile on my face.
Chicken's one of them, and chicken is a blessing. I love chicken. All right. Now that we're warmed up, let's jump into some of the questions. So the first one, I'm going to pull it up on the screen so everybody can see it, is why did you choose school in the Caribbean away from friends and family?
Okay. Yeah, I feel like most people attending SGU, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but a lot of people will have kind of the same story as me. Essentially, I didn't want to take a year off, and I went through the admissions round, finishing off 4th year undergrad in Canada, and the admissions rates for Canadian schools are somewhere between 2 to 4%, if that, right? And so I was like, okay, it's not a high chance. I kind of prepped for a master's, but I didn't really want to take the time off. Yeah. And then a couple of our mutual friends, Eduardo and Joe, had mentioned to me previously a little bit about like the Caribbean schools. They came and did talks at Laurentian. I didn't attend them, but Ed told me about them, and so I was looking into it, digging into it a little bit, and pretty much I don't know, seemed pretty legit. They have they had a program for England, which is the one I did. I looked into that, and it seemed like it was something I could, go for. So I didn't want to take a year off. I didn't get admitted to the Canadian schools. I'm not going to lie. If I had the choice, or if I was admitted to a Canadian school, I probably would have chosen that above. But with my circumstances, I didn't want to take a year off, kill time with the master's, because it's a lot more money for master's programs. Right. And so looking in the future, I decided to take it on. The world's my oyster kind of deal. And so I think that pretty much sums up that one.
Yeah, and I want to go back to, you mentioned that you had the option to go to England. I don't think a lot of people are aware of this. So do you want to just touch upon briefly your experience? So like Canadians have the option to go to the England campus. I don't think the Americans do. And you chose to go to England for your first year. And being there, you're in Europe, you had the opportunity to travel, probably shadow doctors in a different country. I'm not sure, but do you want to just touch upon your experience there?
Yeah, no, it was great. I loved it. So we were placed in the Northeast at Northumbria University. They have like an adjunct or like some sort of like mutual kind of thing with SGU going on. And so everyone can go there. It has to do with your like academic standing, whether or not they'll offer it for you. But there was a disproportionate amount of Canadians who were a little bit smarter than the Americans. That was a joke. That was a joke for everyone watching.
No offense to any Americans watching.
But yeah, so everyone can go there. I decided to do that. It was essentially the same price range. So it was great. We were in the Northeast, in in Newcastle upon Tyne, which is kind of cool because I kind of grew up around a small town in Canada called Newcastle, so a bunch of the
Okay.
names of the place around
Yeah,
there.
that's neat.
That was pretty neat. I loved it. We went to go see a bunch of premier games for football or soccer,
Yeah.
and I also traveled to France. We went skiing, Switzerland, Holland. It was awesome, and we also had a like clinical placement kind of exposure. So I got to actually spend some time with some orthopedic surgeons, pediatrics, oncology as well. So it was really cool because when we were in our second semester, we were doing a lot of neuro. So I got to actually go in with Dr. Bailey,
Hmm.
who was working at the Queen Elizabeth, and he was actually great. We got to see a bunch of actual like practical things that he was like that we were learning in class. So it was really good. I thought
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I couldn't really complain about it. It was nice, and the temperature was moderate. I think it snowed one time we were there,
Oh, that's
and it
awesome.
was not like a Canadian snow. You know what I mean? It was good.
Not even close. Yeah, I remember messaging you back and forth, getting on calls, and it seemed like you were having a good time there. All right, so on to the second question. Is it easier to get in the Caribbean medical school versus a Canadian medical school?
So yeah, in Canada, probably the rates are around 2-3%. So this in the Caribbean, like SGU's admissions rate is probably the exact same as like undergrad programs for Canadian universities. So
Yeah.
that's around 38 to 41%. So it is a little bit easier to get in. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think I've told many people either. Like, I applied to SGU a couple months after you because they take people in, I
Yeah.
think 2 times per year. So I applied kind of like the second cycle, and I got accepted as well. But I just didn't feel comfortable in that moment. I was like, you know what? I don't have that burning sensation to go. So I decided to stay back.
Yeah.
And Luke went. There's another friend. Actually, right now, I know 3 people there in the Caribbean. Another good friend of ours is Colin. He's there.
Yeah. Colin's here, dude. I saw him. Yeah, I see him all the time.
Yeah. And there's Zach. He's a year ahead of you. So we know a couple of people, I think. I mean, if you stay around the medical circle long enough, you'll know people that go to the Caribbean.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the third question. Does Luke plan on specializing and working in the Caribbean?
All right. So that is a no. I don't know exactly pinpoint what I want to do, where I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I'm going to be staying in the Caribbean. I'll probably end up somewhere in the U.S. for a little while.
Okay.
In the meantime, for that, but I'm not too sure. So I'm going to say that that's a no.
Yeah. I think most people don't really stay in the Caribbean, right? They just kind of go get the degree and then come back to the States or some
Well,
other
yeah,
country.
a lot of the U.S. and Canadian students definitely don't, but there is actually a lot of Caribbean students here.
Okay.
And also a lot of students from different places in Africa. I know one of my friends, he's from Botswana.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. People from Zimbabwe, Nigeria. So
Cool.
there's a lot. Yeah, people from everywhere. We got a lot of students from Thailand as well, which is awesome.
Nice. Got everybody from all around the world.
Yeah.
Next question is there a great need for doctors in the Caribbean?
Okay, so is there a great need for doctors in the Caribbean? That's the next question.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, I'll probably say there's a great need for doctors globally. In the Caribbean, definitely yes as well. There's also a lot of areas in Canada even that have shortages of physicians.
Sure.
So obviously, as one could imagine, there is shortages of doctors here. There's one thing that I have noticed. It's a little bit of a different scenario than it is back home in Canada, though.
Okay.
So I found that a lot of the doctors that are working here are a lot more primary care. So you're going to see a lot of internal med graduates, family med, and stuff like that, which is great, and pediatricians as well. But they actually have a shortage more on specialty fields. I find that might be a little bit different back home.
Yeah, no, there's here you hear of specialties that, people specialize in and then they can't find OR time and, have to take up shifts in the emerge or something. Um, but yeah, that's not the case here where um, we definitely have a lot more specialists, I feel, than a lack of.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one says, what's a common specialty for doctors in the Caribbean?
Yeah, that one kind of builds on the last one a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot more primary care. There's a lot of the work that's being done here, and they also have SGU has a lot of graduates and initiatives for getting a lot of the graduates that actually come back and run like specialty clinics. So I was in the hospital the other day with one of our profs. He's great nephrologist working, and we got to see a bunch of patients in the hemodialysis unit.
Okay.
And he was saying, I guess, well, you need vascular surgeons to make a nice fistula, so you can always get the dialyzers in there. So they have some graduates that come back that are specialized in vascular surgery. They'll come back, do the operations for the island that they need for new patients with kidney disease. So, and then there's also other examples. St. George's usually writes like little articles about them. One example I have would be Dr. Giliberti. He's an ophthalmologist. He'll come back to Grenada, I think maybe once per year, with his daughter, who's also an SGU grad, doing ophthalmology. So they both come back down here together and do strabismus or cataract surgeries for people here in Grenada, which is awesome. So they have a way of dealing with it. Unfortunately, like there's not a lot of permanent residents. It's a very small island, very small population. I think it's about 100, maybe 30,000 people. Someone might have to Google that for me, though.
Yeah, someone fact check that. Yeah, but that's not too much. That's that's almost the size of Sudbury, because Sudbury is like 140, 160. Yeah, it's just
exactly.
a little less.
So it's not a very big place. So there is some shortages.
Do doctors get paid more in the Caribbean?
No. I think one of the best things about being in the hospital here was that spending time with some of the doctors working, it was kind of eye-opening for me. It kind of made me rethink about kind of where I am with why I want to get into medicine.
Yeah.
Doctors working, and it's not like they're getting paid like overcompensated, like, you know what I mean? They're not being overcompensated with their wages at all. I think the average salaries here, I got it, are between about 80,000 to 298,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. So pretty much divided by two. So it's between 40,000 to 150,000 Canadian per year, which is it's a little bit lower, but it was nice to have, somebody teaching us in a clinical setting in the hospital, and just knowing that they're in medicine not for like a financial kind of reason. Like they were practicing medicine for the art, for the practice, and for the humanitarian like philanthropy kind of aspect of it. Yeah, and it was kind of good, like experience for me, because it was like I need to check, why am I doing this? Why am I studying so hard? And kind of, you know what I mean? It was really great, and I feel like that's a very good experience to have.
Yeah, you see that like they're doing it because they like it, they're passionate about it, they really want to help people. And I find sometimes I fall into that mindset of money. Like it's so easy to kind of start comparing specialties and thinking about the financial side of it, but like there's millions of examples of people who have a lot of money yet are unsatisfied. So it's like you really got to do it because you love it.
Prime example, if you look at the cardiology, they do like a poll every year for doctors across the U.S. and kind of like find out how they like their job, how they like their life, and how much they get paid. Like cardiology is like one of the top paying non-surgical specialties, but like the reward, they're all miserable.
Oh,
so it's. And that's obviously a generalization.
Cardio,
I think it's very fun. And I know some people who are in cardiology and they love it. So that obviously, like, it's just a poll kind of deal. But yeah, compensation doesn't always equal happiness.
Yeah. Luke, do any of your profs work in local hospitals there?
Yes. So I guess it'd be the same anywhere. We have lecturers who have like post grad PhD or grads
Mm-hmm.
or MD grads, depending on the department. So we have like clinical skills lectures, and then we
Yep.
have clinical skills small groups, or I guess you call them the CBLs.
Yeah, we have case-based
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
for
So we can have like small
we're
groups
in the
like
group.
that.
And then we also have PSD, physician skill development.
Yeah,
That's where we
yeah,
learn the
yeah.
practical skills.
So those exactly. So those ones, yeah, they work in the hospitals. But then some of the obviously the PhD lecturers, they run a lot of the research that they're doing on campus.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of the lecturers do.
Yeah. Awesome.
And small group faculty, like associated faculty.
Yeah. All right. Since you're studying in the Caribbean, where are your profs from?
They're from all over, just like the students. So we'll have profs from all over the Caribbean. I think one of the doctors that we were with in the hospital last week, he actually was from Cuba. He graduated from med school in Cuba, learned it all in Spanish. Now he's here practicing in England in English.
Yeah.
And we also have lecturers from Trinidad, also from Grenada, from England, and a lot from the U.S. So I guess anywhere from like New York or the tri-state area,
Yeah.
all over.
Have you ever had a Canadian prof? Fellow Canadian?
No, I would have remembered. I definitely would have remembered. Actually, we did, but it was ethics and biostats. We did have one, yeah. Funny, yeah, we did.
Bring in the Canadian for the ethics.
Exactly, we're nice people. We're nice people, like.
How to be polite and say sorry.
Yep.
All right, can you get matched from Caribbean medical schools into residency programs in the U.S. and Canada?
Yes, that is pretty much the whole curriculum is based on the U.S. curriculum. Now, depending, because we're considered international medical grads or IMGs, it's a little bit of a different process. We still need to do so the U.S. they have like an ERAS application where you register like a med student account, and then you got to go through the NRMP match program in the U.S. So it's a little bit different because we have to be an IMG. Usually the score differentials for board examinations, IMGs are expected to score a little bit higher to get the same kind of positions. But and in Canada as well, we actually had a representative from Canada to us about the CARMS match and kind of how that would look in our timeline. It actually works out great. So I'm gonna do the CARMS match coming up, I guess, in a couple of years. But I got to start thinking about it after I do my first year of course. And essentially, the Canadian match is good because it's right before the U.S. match, so I can try and get back into Canada. I think last year 19 SGU grads got into CARMS match. So
good for them.
It's definitely a possibility. It's definitely not ruled out. Not a lot of people are trying applying to the Canadian one. It's usually centered around the U.S. because that's what the curriculum's mainly focused for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might just be a little bit harder because you're an IMG. But I mean, for me, nothing's out of reach. I mean, you just put in the hard work, you can do well, and it's pretty much on the student. It's not really going to be on the school for too much longer, you know.
Yeah. Do you know what specialty you're leaning towards right now, or is it just everything still up in the air?
No idea. No, I'm not going to say that. Originally, actually, why I got into medicine was because I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 16. So that was kind of a big driving force, and I kind of liked my pediatrician, pediatric endo. He was super cool. He was from England, so he had an accent. I thought it was awesome. And he told me, like, you're the perfect age to get diabetes. I'm like thinking, like, buddy, come on. And no, he was just because I could understand kind of what was going on and make the life adjustments and stuff like that. But he was a really cool guy, big inspiration on me. So initially coming into med, that was the field I kind of wanted to get into, pediatric endocrinology. But again, I'm open-minded to everything. So I don't know yet.
Cool. Keeping it open. There's too many possibilities out there.
Oh yeah.
All right, Luke, what do you think about step one becoming pass fail? This has been big news over the last couple of weeks. Every major YouTube channel has made a video about it. What do you know about it, and what are your thoughts?
All right. So I'm actually part of the SGA, or Student Government Association, on campus, and of course, that was brought up at every meeting. I'm on the Academic Affairs Committee, so we talk about kind of the academics, students' concerns, and everything brought up to the faculty. So pretty much what our take would be on it is that it doesn't really change too much. In a sense, it almost puts us at a little bit of a better playing field because you just need to pass the exam now. Before, SGU's curriculum was very, very focused on their basic sciences for the first 2 years because we need to score exceptionally well on the step. And I still do. So I'm saying we, but it's not going to be implemented till 2022, probably around January time, I think was the information that
that's key to know.
gave out. So just double check. I'm pretty sure it's January 2022, but could be mistaken. So yeah, essentially now it kind of like pulls off a little bit of the basic science pressure for the students. And I think it'll be really good because the next CK and CS exams for step 2 is kind of like the Canadian OSCE exam. So it's a clinical exam. You encounter a patient, make a differential diagnosis, physical exam, everything, and then write up your patient note. And then that's the examination. So it's going to put a lot more, I think it's going to be better for students to, in terms of becoming a good physician. Instead of, you know what I mean? I think it'll make better.
It'll actually force you to develop your clinical skills rather than just test taking skills, because in real life, let's be honest, test taking skills are useless.
Yeah, there's a give and take. But yeah, now in terms of a Caribbean student, what does that look like for me? Because ideally, I'll go into the USMLE Step 1 exam, score like a 270, you know what I mean? And be like, oh, now the world's mine, I do what I want kind of deal. That's the idea. But now what are we going to do? Because now, no matter how high you score, you can't really make a really good like first impression for your interview time come 4th year. So essentially, it's going to be a little bit more stressful for when we're doing our cores. So core rotations, I'm going to start in August. Actually, on my birthday, we're going to start first day of cores, which will be cool. August 17th. It'll be fun. First day. My birthday is going to be my first day in a hospital as a med student on rotations. So that'll be cool. And then it'll put a bit more stress now on that. So you got to obviously study for your exams during clinicals. So at every core rotation you have, we're going to have an exam, shelf exams. So it's going to be like, you do 6 weeks of peds, and then you got to be a peds master and write this board exam. You know what I mean? And so it'll be a little bit more stressful because now we're going to have to take that extra step to really try and score high on the step 2 exams. So it's not going to, you still need to score high either way. The only difference will be when you're stressed out more.
It just,
you know what I mean?
It's going to become pass or fail, but you should still be striving for excellence and doing your best.
Of course.
It does take the pressure off, because I would feel like when I thought like, oh my, I'm going to have to take step 1 and I wasn't even in med school, I felt like my entire future depended on that test. Whereas now it's less of a grave situation. You still want to do your best to, know the material, impress your supervisors, be a well-rounded individual. And I think it's nice because it's a little bit similar to like the Canadian system, where it's not so much just like score-based, but also kind of your letters of recommendation and other things involved in the application process.
Exactly, because before, you know what I mean? If, let's say, a residency program like the program director was like, okay, I don't want to take anybody with below a 230 on step 1, your application wouldn't be even looked at. So now it's like, and the thing is, you just don't want to fail. If you fail the exam,
that's true.
Then you're not in a good position.
Yeah.
But you want to pass, you want to do well, you want to understand the material. And I hope that doesn't drop off with kind of the student mindset, because I think basic science years are actually very important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've learned a ton. I love it. This is my comfortable space. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you love it. You love it a lot. I don't like
But
basic science as much.
but yeah, it'll just defer. Now we need to score higher on the next. It literally just defers the stress
Yeah, that's true.
another year.
All right, Luke, we answered all the questions that were submitted through Instagram and Facebook. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have conception about Caribbean schools. I haven't been to all the other ones. I mean, I'm just an SGU student.
Mm-hmm.
There was one thing that I really enjoyed, the capacity for me to be able to go to the UK and study my first year there. I think that was a lot of fun. In fact, I actually have, it's not set in stone yet, so I don't know if I want to, I'll just tell them. So I applied to do my first core block for rotation starting in August.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to London, in England, in the south of England now, southeast area, East Anglia.
What's the rotation in?
I'm going to start with, they do it in a few blocks. So I'm going to do my first 3 rotations. I'm going to do psychiatry, peds, and then obstetrics and gynecology.
Okay.
So I think that'll be an exceptional experience, just to set me apart. You know what I mean? Because like when the time comes for interviews for residency programs,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be on my CV, and it's something I can talk about. You know what I mean? It's something that sets me apart from a lot of students, whether it be U.S., Canadian, other Caribbean students from across the globe. Let's say if they studied in Australia or something, you know what I mean? Set me apart, having the capacity to do core rotations, get some training, you know, mentor, mentee kind of responsibilities and relationships with physicians from the UK.
Yeah.
Canada. I can go to Canada. I'm going to book a couple 4th-year electives there. They have a couple places in Ottawa, actually.
Cardio, gotta do cardio. Yeah, we'll see. Luke and I are trying to set it up so when you're gonna be 4th year and I will be 3rd year. Oh man, we'll both be super busy. But we'll try to set it up. Yeah, and it's really cool that you get to do that elective or do your rotations in England, because you get to be exposed to like different healthcare systems. Like students in Canada, they get Canadian healthcare, and then in America they get American. I'm not sure if the UK has like a slight variation, but the more experiences you see, I mean, it just builds you as a clinician, as a person, and you're able to understand some of the healthcare tensions from different contexts. So that's going to be like essential, or I think foundational, in how you interview or when you interview for your specialties. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are a little bit frightened to take on, like, oh man, I'm going to be going quite far for school. It's going to be a lot of time, a lot of money. It is a little bit pricey. Yeah. And US prices kind of deal. But I mean, if you're a strong student and you think you can do it, and obviously a lot of people can do it, and they have done it. SGU has a lot of grads in a lot of different countries. Mm-hmm. Then it's definitely a viable option to pursue. Okay. I'm doing it. I'll let you know when I'm at the end of the tunnel. You're surviving.
Alumni. The alumni circle is great, and it's awesome. I like. There's never been a time where it's like, oh, I want to contact somebody who's doing this. I can go to my college advisor and they'll link me up with somebody. You know what I mean? It's easy. It's
good. Good stuff. Well, look, I really enjoyed talking to you over the last couple, half hour. I appreciate you taking time out of your day, out of, your precious studying time to answer these questions and get on the call. I just want to say thank you. And to any of the viewers, I appreciate the time that you guys put into watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Go give Luke a follow on Instagram. It's just boy. What's your Instagram handle?
Dude, I don't even know it.
It's okay.
It's L, my last name, and I think 77 or 7 or something like that. I'll send it. Yeah.
It's L on 1077. There's his last name. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care.
Thanks for having me.